Money on my phone. Don't wanna pick up. Don't wanna feel no more. I can't have a fuck. Oh man, oh buddy, oh broly broly with the ravioli. All right. Copyrighted, all of them. I just know it. Last song. We need to start that way. That's how down. Last nigga wasn't when I go down. It's check, bitch. Same time, same time. Two freaking hoes at the same time. I don't want to waste my life. Ricky know my life. Told you too many times. Too many times. What you want, my brother? Is you good? Slime. Some games for my mother. I know I did that. Yeah, I know I did that. And I'm that. Alright, let's lock in. I know like how you was good. Like how you was good. How you was good. Damn! I know what you did last time. Yes. Please. Don't look at real good. Okay. Alrighty. Oh my god, okay. Fuck. Fuck. Alright. That bitch party. I don't like you saying that bitch party. That bitch party. It's a bad bitch party on boy. Motherfucker, go talk to your mother. Motherfucker, go talk to your mother. Damn. Motherfucker, go talk. Okay, got your brother. Sorry. I ain't talking motherfucker, go talk to your mother. And I ain't talking motherfucker, go talk to your mother. I ain't talking motherfucker, go talk to your mother. And I ain't talking motherfucker, go talk to your brother. Talk to me, nigga on me. What the fuck? Get off me! Get out! Get off me! Damn. Fuck. What the fuck? Low key. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to play. Don't come talk to me if you need it. You can go with the things that I see. not gonna lie, I'm trying to play this. Oh, I'm trying to play this. Word to the grannies. I'm so sorry. So sorry. So sorry. Where is this one? Is it? It is. Alright. It's not. Okay. It's this one. Sorry. Y'all don't know, I'm really a pro at this. Watch this. Oh. You try on new outfits running me. Back to front. It was for me. I'm gonna remodel the whole kid. Became an architect in my sleep. All that artichoke that she speak. Oh, guys. Ugh! Okay. Fuck! Okay. Let me lock in. Became an architect in my sleep. Alright, alright. Alright. We're locked in, chat. Where's the money? I don't know where to go. No, because I always get stuck on this part. Oh. I'm going to show you what I do. Ooh, okay. Okay, now what? Like, what the fuck? Freak, sorry. I turn down a little bit. What you do? I'm gonna show you what I do. I'm gonna show you what I do. What I love you do. Alright. Fucking motherfucker, go talk to your mother. Yeah, they big go hard. Go hard. Yeah, they big go hard. Go hard. Yeah, they big go hard. Go trap, take a spot, yeah. Hella guap, hella thoughts, with your spot, going out there a lot. There we go. Whoa! Freak, sorry. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. Now we're locked in. Oh, the way. Fuck. Okay. Freak. Now we're locked. I'm about to switch the music in a minute. Oh, I'm not veneer. I was a toxic kid, so you was here. Blah, bitch, blah. Alright. Fucking reach! It's the music, I promise. Look, watch this. Real shit. Watch this shit. Watch this. When I put on, give me a second. I got it's a little. I don't think y'all can even hear any music for real. I say y'all, I'm talking to 0 people. Where the market? Watch this shit. Watch this shit.
Entrances, which are a bit deeper underwater. Everything's going smoothly and the divers are super excited. They get to finally discover what lies in the tunnels as they swim along deeper and deeper. As they go deeper and deeper, things start to get darker and darker. That is until one of the divers, Robert Smith, starts to feel a little funky. Guys, I'm not feeling too good. Yeah, once he reached about 180 feet below, the effects of nitrogen narcosis started to kick in. And for my slower box heads, it's a sickness caused by the pressure of diving in deep depths. It can pretty much make a person feel like they're drunk or impaired. And like I said earlier, these divers were experienced. So Robert was accustomed to the feeling of nitrogen narcosis. He was smart enough to signal to the rest of his crew and return back to the main chamber, where he then could ascend a bit higher and wait for the effects to wear off. Because trust me, you don't want to be diving any deeper once nitrogen narcosis has affected you. Like seriously, you start to think irrationally, you can't even think straight. Making the right decision becomes tough, and you may even make a decision that could end your life, which unfortunately we'll get to. Anyways, the rest of the group received and understood Robert's
What the fuck? So if you go deep enough, like, what the fuck? That's scary to think about. Like, what's it called again? Nitrogen narcosis. That's scary to fucking think about. Like, imagine you never been hit with that shit before. Imagine it's your first time. That's your first time happening to you. You gonna think that you just feeling like nervous or some shit. Fuck, bro. Oh my god. Imagine this shit hits you. You just feel like you nervous or some shit. So you just keep going, bro. Like, fuck. That's scary as shit. Like, real shit. That's scary as fuck. Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it like my perspective, yo. That shit is crazy.
No,
Oh
but
god, that
decided to
shit is
continue their
crazy.
dive without him. Everyone else seemed to be feeling fine, so like, I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Robert is swimming around in circles, trying to wear off the effects of nitrogen narcosis, when suddenly he sees a flash of light in the distance. As the light gets closer and closer, he realizes that it must be the torchlight from one of his fellow divers. Eventually, the diver swims up to Robert. He can see now that it's Glenn Millard. Glenn grabs the gauge from his oxygen tank and shows it to Robert. The oxygen levels are practically zero. And at this point, Robert and Glenn were both running low on air in their tanks. Which, if you didn't know, you kind of need that. Knowing their dive time was almost up, they grouped together and swam up to the surface. The two men resurfaced with little to no air in their tanks, like any experienced diver would do. When they resurfaced, they also saw Larry Reynolds, who swam up around the same time for the same reason. Then, about 30 seconds later, another diver surfaces, Peter Berg. But wait. If Robert, Glenn, Larry, and Peter were all on the surface with no air left in their tanks, that must mean that the other 4 divers should be out of air too, right? So where in the flying box head are they? The divers realized
The
that
flying
something must
box
have gone
head, yeah.
terribly wrong with the other divers. The rest of their group is still underwater with little to no air left. Immediately, a few of the divers surface and call 911. Their stomachs drop and the panic sets in, especially for Glenn Millot, whose brother and sister were still down there, Stephen and Christine. Without any hesitation, Glenn removes his empty oxygen tank. He quickly grabs a new tank and attaches it to his suit. He wants, no. He needs to descend back down and find them. He refused to let his siblings stay down there any longer, knowing that they could be in danger. He's diving down as fast as he possibly can. He reaches 75 feet, then 150 feet, then 225 feet. Glenn then comes across a drop-off in the tunnel, kind of like an edge of a cliff. And there seems to be some kind of faint light shining from below. Glenn quickly swims over and looks down. He spots a torchlight and a camera. There's Stevens. Oh, thank God, he thinks to himself. That's gotta be a good sign, right? It means they're probably close. However, the visibility at the drop-off is, well, pitch black, between no sunlight and a thick cloud of silt from the rock walls. It was literally impossible for Glenn to even see a few inches in front of him. But a little darkness wasn't gonna stop him. Glenn was determined to find his brother and sister, and there was no way that he was just gonna let them die down there. So he swam down, searching for any sign of Stephen or Christine. He can't see a damn thing. It's pitch black. He can't even see his hand in the front of his face. All Glenn was doing at this point was putting himself in danger. He can't stay down there any longer. With no other options, Glenn was forced to return to the main chamber, where at least there was sunlight so he could actually see something. Still, he stayed underwater, looking in every direction and praying his siblings would show any signs of life. Minutes go by and still nothing. No sign of Steven or Christine. Glenn checks his gauge and realizes he himself would run out of air soon if he didn't return to the surface. He's already on his second oxygen tank and is still running out of air. Imagine his poor friends and siblings who would still be on their first tank. Yeah, there is no way there's anything left in those tanks. In a panic, he swims up to the surface of the water. He calls up through the hole for the rest of the crew and they help bring him out of the narrow shaft entrance. On land, an ambulance has arrived, and this is where Glenn realizes that his siblings are long gone. There is no way they could have survived this long without air. Now it was just a matter of recovering their lifeless bodies. Glenn and the rest of the divers were heartbroken. Imagine losing your friends or even two of your own siblings in just a matter of minutes. Police arrive at the scene, but there's not much they can do right then and there. The recovery process would just be too challenging. They needed to take time to set up and plan. So, the next day, the police planned for a full body recovery. They entered the cavern and started searching around for the bodies of the 4 missing divers: Steven and Christine Millot, Gordon Roberts, and John Buckerman. But even the police couldn't find any signs of the bodies after a brief search. Again, the visibility was just still too poor down there, and going deep into the water was just dangerous. They were somehow still unprepared. After no luck, they look at each other and decide to come back tomorrow. And when tomorrow came, the next day. And again, they were unsuccessful. Yeah, days later, and still nothing was ever found. Eventually, days turned into months and still no sign of the missing bodies. That is until January 22nd, 1974. A whole 8 months after the incident. A documentary film crew who had filmed and explored other caves in the area came to visit the Shaft Cave. The crew entered the cavern and used their lighting equipment to turn the cave from dim to as bright as daylight. In, preparation to film their documentary. So bright actually that when one of the film technicians looked at his 2 crew members, he saw what seemed to be a third person in the distance. They were only swimming about 50 feet down. And like you'd imagine, the film crew was pretty freaked out by this and went to swim over to investigate. They took a closer look at this person and quickly realized that this guy was not alive. It was a dead body in a wetsuit stuck under a narrow ledge. Jeez, that seems like something straight out of a horror movie, man. Freaked the hell out, the film crew left the shaft and called the police, telling them exactly where they saw the body. That body that they found was soon to be discovered as Steven Millot, who was found just 50 feet deep in the water, stuck between a ledge. So now you're probably wondering, where the hell are the other bodies? We're still missing 3. Well, the landowners hired a team of professional divers to go and find Christine, Gordon, and John. And thankfully, it actually worked this time. They discovered the bodies of Christine and Gordon together. They were both about 185 feet down in the tunnel. John's body was discovered about 20 feet deeper beneath the ledge. But how did this even happen? How did these 4 experienced divers end up dying? Well, let's start with Christine and Gordon. Back when the rest of the divers were heading back to the main chamber of the cavern because of their, low air, Christine and Gordon were trying to do the same thing.
He was only 50 feet, right? And when his brother went down to look for him, that nigga went. He said like 150. So that nigga passed him twice. Oh my fucking god, bro! And you're underwater, so you can't say shit. Like you're underwater, so like you can't be heard. Well, duh, niggas under fucking water. I'm so fucking slow. Well, now though, like you're underwater, so you can't signal out. You got no way of like signaling out. Like I'm right here. He don't got his light. He don't got his light no more. So he can't even signal out like, oh, yo, I'm right here. I'm right here. So that nigga was just stuck there watching as, like, his brother that's looking for him will go past him. That shit is fucking sad.
However, they made a grave mistake.
He had to have seen
Instead
him,
of swimming
like,
along the diagonal slope of the tunnel, they swam straight up in an attempt to quickly ascend. They swam upwards into a dome in the ceiling. One that had no exit. Remember, the visibility was terrible down there. They could not see anything. So now they're trapped in this dome and likely suffering from the effects of nitrogen narcosis, which means they had no idea what to do or where to go. They were just trapped. They knew they were in a dangerous situation and they started to panic. They exhausted their air supply, using it up rather quickly from not being in the right state of mind either. And unfortunately, not long after, the two would drown before finding an exit. Reports suggest that Christine and Gordon were holding on to each other in their final moments, which most likely means that they knew they were going to die. Just imagine how scary that is. And as for John
That shit
Bockerman,
is
the body was found
wild.
at the deepest of depths. What happened to him? Well, actually, the surviving divers recall seeing John swimming kind of confidently in the complete wrong direction. He was also likely under the effects of nitrogen narcosis and had no idea he was swimming down further and further, literally right to his death. John died underneath a rock ledge about 250 feet down in the water. And finally, the body of Stephen Miller, who was found the closest to the surface. Now, little is known about Stephen's death, but reports suggest that Stephen allowed himself to float to the ceiling of the tunnels by using a buoyancy device on his suit. As he floated upwards, he climbed along the walls, hoping that he was headed in the right direction. And he was actually, considering he was found at the highest depth out of everyone. But it's assumed that his air ran out before he was able to escape the water. And guys, this video only gets worse. Next up, we have the Veryovkina cave incident, where a curious cave explorer decided to enter the world's deepest cave all by himself, only to find himself trapped thousands of feet below in the freezing cold. Yeah, that's right. The Veryovkina cave is the deepest cave in the world, at least that we know of. It's located in the Gagra mountain ranges of Georgia. And no, not the state of Georgia, the country. You silly little boxhead. And guys, the cave's official depth is 7,247 feet. That's like really, really deep. Imagine being that deep in something.
Okay. All right.
I know I can't. Anyways, this diagram right here should give you some perspective. And to reach the entrance of this cave, you literally have to climb a mountain first. The altitude of the entrance itself is at 7,500 feet. And ladies and boxheads, let's meet the madman who decided to do all of this on his own. Sergei Koziv, who is a 37-year-old man from Sochi, Russia, a city about 2 hours from the entrance of the cave. He was a frequent explorer who loved the outdoors and often went on solo expeditions. On November 1st, 2020, Sergei said goodbye to his wife and children, telling them that he was going on another one of his solo expeditions. However, he did not tell them where exactly he was going. He packed all of his equipment, including plenty of maps and documents that he spent a year gathering and planning for. He knew this expedition wouldn't be easy, but that didn't really stop him. He left Russia and started heading for Georgia, ready to climb the Gagra mountain range to eventually reach the entrance of the cave. The mountain climbing was the easy part of this expedition. With him though, he brought an ice axe and crampons. Get your head out of a gutter. I didn't say tampons, I said crampons. You know, those boots with the spiky bottoms that make it easy to climb. You get it. It wasn't long before Sergei reached the entrance of the very bags of equipment he brought and attached it to the opening of the cave. Here, he would slowly lower himself and his equipment down into the dark and narrow passage. Yep, did I mention he did this all by himself? He traversed the cave successfully, seemingly without any issues for quite a while. He eventually came across the first camp in the cave. About 600 meters or nearly 2,000 camps were permanently set up by other cavers before to provide a base, for new explorers, allowing them to rest before they continue on. Because traversing this cave seriously was not easy. If you remember the diagram, most of the cave is long, vertical shafts. That sounds almost inappropriate. Anyways, probably feeling super confident and thinking to himself, shh, that's nothing. Sergei continues right past the first camp, not stopping for too long. He continues to descend down the cave, doing more and more climbing, until Sergei eventually reaches another camp. The second one is about 1,000 meters or 3,300 feet down. At this point, he's getting pretty deep in the cave. But after climbing for quite a while, he decided that he needs to rest. After all, he's doing all of this, everything completely alone. There's no one else in the cave to help him. So he takes a break at the second camp. Sergei would then spend approximately 1 week at the second base camp. Okay. Up until this point, things seem to have gone pretty smoothly for him. But that's probably because he hadn't reached the real challenging parts of this cave. The parts that can easily kill an unprepared cave. From this point forward, the vertical shafts are a lot more intense and challenging to climb. Not to mention the cave also gets a lot colder and wetter the deeper you go. So after his week of long rest, Sergey is feeling confident again and wants to continue his descent downwards. He packs up his equipment and starts to head down yet again. And well, this is where things start to go horribly wrong for Sergey. To start, Sergey did not have the proper equipment needed to accomplish his expedition, a mistake that would cost him his life. Any caver knows that one of the most necessary items is to have a waterproof outfit, with a nice warm fleece inside to keep you all warm and snuggly from any water. And well, Sergey did not have any waterproof layer of clothing. Another thing he was missing were stirrups, which are basically footholds